The revolving door of stars continues. Exactly. This is, let's say, no, I'm talking about after this episode. This interview.
It's not this segment.
The voice you're hearing.
The door is currently broken.
Yeah. But that's why. It's actually, it's jib guys. Actually, it's gaffers walking by trying to get to the construction yard.
But the came out of the basement, actually. Yeah. It's a trap door right there.
The voice you're listening to is, I want to say, and I say this as a compliment, the loudest man in soccer. Absolutely. And that, for me, is an honor to say, Taylor Twellman, everybody.
What's up, boys?
Taylor,
what's going on, buddy?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Okay.
No off season.
No, that's not what MLS is about.
When was the last time you actually had like a full-on break?
I think when I was playing, and then I got punched in the face by the goalie, and my career ended. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take 6 months off. I mean, listen, it's positive. It's great for the growth of the game and all that, but I wouldn't mind maybe a week longer before I see you chuckleheads.
It'd be nice. I want to go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it's just it's wild to be here at Media Day, and I just wanted to get your perspective of walking in this room, and the Cooligans have their own space at MLS Media Day.
And staff, dude.
And the whole,
I mean, I had to wait for you guys 10
that
minutes.
Is true.
Like, they were like, let's let him sweat out a little bit.
Okay.
Our producer, Carter, came out to get us, and he's like, oh, Taylor's in the room. And I go, we'll wait another 30 seconds.
Right. I was like, really?
Yeah. Make them think we're doing something important.
I knew they found cigarettes and tequila right when you guys left the room. What's the difference? It's amazing how far this Media Day's come.
Okay.
I was part of the first one that they came into this, and we all did it in New York City. It was 2008, 2009. Ben Olsen, Houston Dynamo coach, is going to remember this very fondly. And all we had was an office at the league office that they took all the furniture out except the couch, and we all took different photos.
That was
the
it.
Couch. That was it.
That was Media
And then
Day.
we went to dinner, and we did like 3 or 4 interviews, and that was it.
Nice.
That's actually pretty cool if you're a player.
They got
But I look at the pictures now, and I'm thinking, oh, dear Lord.
they got their finest Nokia phones.
Yeah.
To take the
I had a Palm Pilot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. Sorry. That was right when the BlackBerry Messenger came out.
Yeah.
So you were scrolling on the side wheel.
Dude,
I had the Pearl joint. You couldn't mess with me. I
know. I had to tape my thumb every time I played golf with that thing.
Not me. I was training for
No
my
jokes
honeymoon.
on
Anyway, you might have to cut that part out. All right, we're live. Actually, speaking of how far we've come, I got to talk to you about this fever dream I had.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, my God. I don't know if what I took before I went to bed to help me sleep. I had this dream. I pictured you in an ESPN basement with a TV behind you.
Drugs are bad,
and no
baby.
one with a camera who I don't think anyone was behind, and you yelling about MLS for an hour trying to get people to commit to this show. Is this real? Did this really happen? What was it
that's
called?
happened multiple times in my house by myself.
What's MLS Rewind? What was the name of the show?
MLS Rewind.
Yeah.
What happened? Can we just talk about that?
Yeah.
How hard was it to try to get a major network to commit to an MLS show?
I don't think anyone actually knows this, so good on you to ask the question. Everybody, we had 4 or 5 people do that after work. I drove down. Nobody got paid for that. And we wanted to prove a point on ESPN Plus that you would grow an audience, and we did.
Really?
We did.
It was a good
So
show.
you're talking about producers did this for free.
This was the producers that traveled to the game, the graphics people, the audio people, whatever we needed to conjure up to pull together stuff. There was no teleprompter. This was red lights on, Taylor, wing it. And we did it. And Alejandro Moreno would come in. And I would call him and be like, Alejandro, when's your schedule? He'd be like, listen, I only got 20 minutes here. We'd like, come in for this. We dressed up. We did it. We just wanted to prove a point because this was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
That there's an audience there for strictly this league. And we did. And it was cool. And it was great. It was a part of that. It was exhausting. And I think I'm forever grateful for the behind-the-scenes people at ESPN because they were doing 10-hour days, and then I'm asking them to throw 3 more hours on the days because let's do this highlight, let's do that highlight. Yeah, I may be driving down 2 hours one way to come down, but it's a passion of mine. So to your point, dude, we were in the basement. We had
It was a basement.
No,
I said, bro, there ain't a window anywhere near this man.
Oh, no. Dude, there wasn't a bathroom. The bathroom was on the side. You had to go up the floor. But to the point, it was kind of fun to say, no, we're going to do this and see it. And I give credit to ESPN for letting it get on air because there was really no content surveying, anything looking at it. They're like, let's
you know,
just
they were
see.
staring at this file on a computer
Totally.
going, he ain't going to stop talking about it unless we air this thing on ESPN
Exactly.
Plus.
But it was, I spoke, I think it's important for people to know this. I spoke for everybody in that soccer department at ESPN. This wasn't, just Taylor. No way.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people. There still are a lot of people there that believe in this league, believe in this sport. And we just stole a camera, put it in a basement. We had the one screen behind us.
You had one TV. You were in a corner.
Yeah.
I remember there was
Yes.
one episode started with like you ruffling from behind the camera. That's why I was
Yes.
like, there might not be a cameraman. This might be you hidden
Oh, no,
play.
it was a button or someone right behind the camera that would also run the graphics, that also would say, okay, here go the highlights.
Amazing.
You had like paperwork in your hand.
It
And
was
then, like,
great. It was
we
awesome.
showed a highlight and you came back. You had no longer paperwork in your hand. I knew you probably threw it. I'm
Totally.
like, this is so haphazard, but I'm like, it's probably what's needed to get the buy-in. And I'm glad that you at least got that.
We did. Then COVID happened.
Yeah.
Right. And so that changed the whole, I think, look of TV, media,
Everything.
the way ESPN looked at soccer, whatever it may be. But
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those stories that I'll tell my kids about when they're old enough to figure out. And it was fun because it was just a passion, let alone, a money grab. There was no money involved. And we did it.
It's wild how it's just like covering MLS feels like this weird guerrilla warfare type of thing where everybody has like dark paint under their eyes.
Yeah,
to,
like
like,
Scars.
Yeah.
And great stories.
Great stories that we laugh about now.
We do because
Yeah.
it's 30 years in. And
Yeah.
you're like, we did that?
Yeah.
So it must feel kind of nice to be at Apple and see how prominent Major League Soccer is being displayed. Just compared to what it was in the past. 'Cause
1080p, like the whole thing, dude.
Yeah, but it's even just like we've spoken to so many people, Hercules Gomez or Sebastian Salazar, and everybody who has worked at ESPN, who has covered soccer, comes out of it just a little bit like, I really went through it. Like just a little bit of
You got to fight the fight.
Vietnam.
You got to fight the
PTSD.
fight, but on
Yeah.
the other hand, we wouldn't be here 30 years in if
It's true.
ESPN didn't believe in Major League Soccer
Right.
and didn't stay with it. So we've got to be very careful to say, well, look, they didn't do Sports Center highlights. They didn't do a baseball tonight. Okay. But look at what they did with the World Cup. Look at what they did with the
Yeah,
U.S.
yeah.
men's national
Absolutely.
team and the women's national team. So we would not be sitting here 30 years into this league if ESPN did not believe in it and stick to it
That's
and
facts.
stay with it.
I
that
agree.
long.
Yeah, I think what's important and what we've seen as far as like how to. I mean, it feels like sometimes ESPN is the standard.
Yep.
We all have. If it's not on ESPN, it is not a legitimate sport in this league. But I think what tends to happen with. And I think it's all totally valid with like just fans getting louder, getting more critical, getting critical of the coverage that is as being delivered there.
Asking for more.
Asking for more, and we see it, I think, a lot with the WNBA, where like there's been a groundswell of like, hey, talk about this league. There's fascinating people, and then even the criticism of just like how Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are being pitted against each other, and it's all fairly like gross of how they're trying to deliver what this league is about. And I think again, MLS fans I think are starting to get louder and louder.
Oh no, it's
about
loud.
that.
It's definitely loud. Listen, we're at 30 teams. You could probably us three come if we spent 5 minutes on it. 16, 17 markets where if you did a 3-4 hour sports talk radio show strictly about Major League Soccer and that, you would have enough content for 5 days a week.
100%.
I don't think that was the case 10 years ago. I know it wasn't 15 years ago. So you hit the nail on the head. There's absolutely a hunger for just treat it the way you treat our NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball team, and we'll deliver and we'll argue with you. Here's how I know it. When I land in certain markets, the Uber driver will look at me and go, you know what, you were full of it when you were talking about a right back.
People, you land in the city and people are like, man, I don't like you.
Yo,
Right.
why'd you say that about my player?
Everyone, like my family hears that. They're like, oh, man. I'm like, guys, that is awesome.
Yeah.
One, that means they're listening. to
Yeah.
you. And two, that means they care.
And you watch enough to have an opinion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's what we do about all of our other sports. I grew up in St. Louis. We argued about the Cardinals and the Blues all the time.
Yeah.
Now we're doing it about St. Louis City. I show up in St. Louis City. Some St. Louis fans would say, I'm not from St. Louis anymore
Yeah.
because they lost the Sporting Kansas City, not me. And I just
Yeah.
remind them
Right,
of that.
right,
But
right.
my point is, that's growth. That's
That's
great.
huge.
And that's a huge sign of our 30. We got to get 30 markets to do it. You know me, I'm always trying to push the meter and push the ball further. But I do think you're right. I think there's about 16, 17 markets where if you did a strictly MLS radio show, you'd have buy-in, you'd have callers, you'd have sponsors, and you'd have real vigor to some of the opinions, which is really healthy for sports to have.
Yeah, there was remember this was in 2017 or 18 when we went to Atlanta when we did the live show with Julian Gressel.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We did a radio show. What was that? I forgot the station.
Yeah, same.
92.9 the game?
The game,
The
yeah.
game.
And Big Hugh.
Big Hugh.
Who was an Eagle. Hugh Douglas, right? And
who, by the way, worked with yours truly at ESPN, made fun of me, and I couldn't really come back because he could stuff me in the locker in 2 seconds.
He's a big guy.
But I said, he lost a bet with me, something about other sports, okay?
Yeah.
And I said, and if I won, he had to watch a full soccer game with me. And after the game, no joke, he looked at me and said, dude, I can get into this real quick.
So, because we did that.
And it happened like that. Then Atlanta brought their culture and brought it all in, and he's texting me left and right going,
dude.
And I was like, where the hell have you been? This is what it is.
But we walk in, he's mad at us for something we said or something like that. I'm like,
well, yeah.
Why are you?
Which is awesome.
It was, it had it's a, especially Atlanta sports talk radio. Like, it had the same cadence, but just about soccer.
Yep.
And I was just like, yo, this, like, it almost sounds a little strange to the ear.
Well, this is where we've got to grow. Soccer fans,
right.
soccer media, whatever. Like, we can't be the protectors of something and
100%.
not allow.
No,
my biggest pet peeve at ESPN, and it was less about ESPN, it was the way soccer fans would make fun of some of my colleagues that didn't know the sport, but they treated it with the same energy. They treated it with the same respect. They misspoke. Now, one could argue, well, do 5 minutes of research and you could say it. On the other hand, the fact that they're just doing it is a sign of growth.
Absolutely.
Right? So instead of when Gus Johnson did Champions League games and the hate that came his way, stop.
Yeah.
What do you do? What are we doing?
We're trying to move forward.
Yeah, we're trying to grow it and grow it in a way that everyone's welcome. If we saying inclusivity, well, then that includes Gus Johnson calling games.
Yeah.
I'm real good friends with Mike Tirico, Sean McDonough. I used to say to them all the time, you guys would call a good soccer game. You're just the best broadcasters.
Right.
Scott Van Pelt at the 18 World Cup, and he's going to – we had no highlights at ESPN, so we did draw the World Cup, and I don't know if you guys saw it, but I would draw the highlights with crayons, and then we would do it. Honestly, it was the most fun I've ever had, and we had a blast.
What are the odds that you playing with crayons is the most fun you've ever
had? And by the way, that World Cup, I drew probably the poop emoji every 4 games, right? And then just would show it. But he dove in to the sport. Hands of all in, rolled the sleeves up, and he was all in. Stanford Steve. All of a sudden, all it takes is 5 minutes, I think, of our brethren to have a little empathy and honestly just open it up and say, I'm telling you, you will buy in. You will find something that brings you in. I think Ted Lasso has helped a ton in having this conversation. And anyone that hates on Ted Lasso is ridiculous.
You don't have a soul.
Or a brain.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, a lot of people that have no idea about soccer, Ted Lasso resonated with them, and you can use it as a vehicle to do that. This is a long-winded way of saying I do think we still have a way to go on growing this, and by being more open to say, yeah, the LSU college football fan, you want to come here a little more than once every 4 years, and when the World Cup comes around, come on in. Be yourself. Be the fan you want to be. Figure out what you like, and then...
But we still deal. We still did. You saw the Al Michaels thing. Who was it? Was it
Kirk
Herbstreit? Who's on getting some heat for the last couple of weeks? But I don't know if you saw this. Al Michaels was talking about.
He called every sport but a soccer
game, and he goes, "Oh, I've called everything except soccer." And Kirk Herbstreit said, "Oh, good for you."
Yes.
And then everybody was like, "All right, Kirk."
Now you ready for this? Because I texted Kirk. He said, "Good for you." You've called every sport other than soccer. It wasn't a dig at soccer.
Right.
Sounded like it.
Sounded
like I got mad. I got mad with him telling me
By the way, I may have been maybe, and this is not because I know him, but like deep down, I'm like, are we really that upset if he said good for you? Let's say he said good for you and took a dig at a sport. What is it really? Why does it bother everyone so much?
Right. Because
You know
I think being a soccer fan feels like you're at war with everyone else all
But
the
in
time.
2024,
I know.
if Kirk Herbstreit really believed that soccer was unpopular, everyone would question,
Right.
dude, what do you be? He knows.
Yeah,
he
yeah,
watches
yeah.
the World.
How many
he
Messi
watches-
shirts do you need to see at your local supermarket?
How many Nashville games
Yeah.
is he going to?
Right.
Follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
So that's where I was like, that's part of this
Yeah.
chip on the shoulder where I'm like, sometimes it gets in our way.
Yeah, if we could allow the English to continue talking about the sport when they pronounce it Martinez instead of Martinez, then we can allow
Can I
Kirk
tell you-
Herbstreit.
Can we curse on this?
Please do.
That drives me
Yeah.
insane.
Martinez?
Yeah, it'd be like calling me Twellman because I'm German.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not. My name's Twellman.
Yeah.
The Pulisic pronunciation
Yeah,
is
yeah.
driving me. Guys, we literally, his first national team camp, I grabbed this microphone, put it in his face, and I said, on camera, live, I said, say your name, please.
Yeah.
And we played it that game because Bob Lee was like, dude, we need to know exactly how you
Right.
say it. He said it. I had broadcasters in England going, that's not how you say it. I'm like, it's his name.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. My guy says it the way he wants it.
If Christian Pulisic
Yeah.
says, I want you to call me Christian Smith, we will say in a broadcast, it's Christian Pulisic,
Yeah.
but he wants to be called Christian Smith this
Sure.
game. It's his name.
Right.
It's not mine.
Look, when I was very young,
Martinez.
hockey jerseys or sweaters, whatever they're called, were very popular, right? When I was
Yes.
very young. I didn't know anything about them, but they
You
were
act
very
like
cool.
you're 65 years
I'm
old.
75 years old. Thank you for saying I look younger. So they were cool, and I was like, "Who's that guy, Roy?"
Oh,
And then
dude.
someone looked at me and said, "It's pronounced Wah," and I said, "Out of here." That's R-O and Y, and what came out of your mouth was W-A-H. And he said he's French Canadian. He's
Yeah,
French.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, "Oh, all right, I'm gonna
By the
call
way,
him Wah."
what was the best sweater you had?
I only had one. It was the Buffalo Sabres. Oh no, and I had someone got me a New Jersey Devil one, and then
You
I
never
ended up
wore
with the
the
Rangers.
Devils one.
I'm a Devils
was-
fan.
It was red
God
and green.
help
It was red and green. It
You
was
had
like
to have Brodeur.
But yeah, Marty.
I mean,
Brodeur.
anyone else is
Yeah,
not.
I-
Actually, they were
the Niedermeyer brothers
the
also.
Niedermeyers
Wasn't
were
there a Lemieux guy, or was that the Rangers jersey I had?
Lemieux
guy?
played at the
Jesus, dude, it was
Penguins,
Mario Lemieux, like
Bro, I don't know
Fuck.
nothing
you
about
guy?
hockey. I don't know nothing about
So
hockey.
if I told you the best sweater I had, you wouldn't even know Pavel Bure, the Russian.
Oh yeah,
rocket.
Pavel Bure, the Red Wings.
It-
Red Wings? No.
No, stop.
Who am I thinking of?
Cut that.
Blues?
We can't have
Sa-
that.
St.
Vancouver
Louis?
Canucks.
I'm thinking of
Vancouver Canucks.
Pavel Datsuk.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Awesome.
Yeah. You know which one I wanted though? The N with the hockey stick as the old Montreal team. That was
the
a dope
Quebec
logo.
Nordiques.
That was the dopest logo
Best,
ever.
dude.
Dopest logo
best.
ever. Outside of Hartford Whalers, that was a dope one.
That was really
Why is this
good.
a hockey podcast all of
Because
a
you
sudden?
brought up sweater. I
Hey,
like it.
Taylor, get the puck out of here. All right. That's the name of the show, folks. Put it on a shirt.
In the basement.
In the
At
basement.
ESPN.
Me with papers ruffling around. We were talking about soccer for a minute. What do you think of the amount of interest that's in the sport now? We were talking about how sometimes we got to let it go. Maybe some of the original fans are like, "Oh, everyone's just here for Messi." One of the wildest moments of being a soccer fan is being at the New York City FC Inter Miami game
Yep.
with James Ann scores his first goal ever. It's the equalizer. And in that moment, I see a lot of people wearing pink Messi shirts cheering for New York City FC
Yeah.
because they're Messi fans, but they're also New
but
Yorkers.
it's also New York.
Yeah, you're a New Yorker, so you kind of want to see your team still
So-
do well.
Me being the personal advisor, driver, coffee. I literally follow Messi and Inter Miami wherever they go. The worst Messi away game was in New York. It was the New York Red Bulls. It was the only away game where the home team rooted for Messi.
Oh yeah, yeah. Worse
Yeah.
for the sake of the home team. Yeah.
Yeah, it literally,
that
because
was-
I have been pleasantly surprised about this league at them booing Inter Miami.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
I love it. They may have it. Their kids may have a pink jersey on.
Yeah.
For the record, my kids went to the Revolution Inter Miami game. They were not allowed to wear pink,
Nice.
and they couldn't wrap their heads around. They're 7 and 4.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out when they're older. But I'm like, you're not going to the game. And they're like, wait a minute, we're going to the game to see Messi. I go, I don't care. First off, I want to see number 2012 and other. It's all about me. It's fine. But two, I was like, no, Gillette Stadium. When the Revs scored the first goal, it was insanely loud. And even Jake Zivin, time and time again, will look at me broadcasting a game. It's the away games have been the real highlight for me.
Really?
It had, because it still shows the growth of this league and saying, yeah, okay, you've got 65,000 at Gillette, But when the Revs scored, that was 55,000
Yeah, that felt good. Yeah.
rooting for the Revs.
That
Now,
didn't happen with Beckham, right?
No, it didn't. Because I mean, listen,
Because the Beckham show was more important than the game.
The game that ended my career was against David Beckham, the Galaxy at Gillette. It was 45,000 plus at Gillette Stadium. Yeah, when Beckham got announced, it felt like Messi, but it wasn't the same. There's real angst now in our league. There's real fandom. I hate saying it like that. Not saying back then there were no fans.
There's just more of it.
Yes, like Nashville Leagues Cup final was awesome.
Yeah.
They hated him. He scored arguably one of the best Messi goals I've ever seen.
It's ridiculous.
We just spoke to Dax about it earlier.
Well, Dax was wearing his jersey the entire game, and afterwards too, by the way.
I gotta be honest, I would too. I'd be like, "You're doing really good."
No
if he
way.
ran past me,
No way. You
No,
don't
it's
lose to.
I love it. I love because he was literally just talking about how upset people were at him about getting that jersey.
And I led the charge because, dude, if you're my teammate, no.
Yeah.
Piss off with that crap. Now,
what about in the locker room? Can you do it in the locker room?
dude, you got the jersey. That's fine. But you're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Okay. You're talking. I've told this story and I'll tell it again because maybe your viewers or listeners didn't hear it. We played in the Copa America against Argentina. Messi. It's 2007 in Venezuela. After the game, Verón wanted to change jerseys with me. We lost.
Yeah.
4-1. I was like, no, get
Juan Sebastián Verón, you said no.
no, this is even better.
Because I'm like, thank you for speaking to me, is what I would say.
So like two days, well, literally, first off, my entire job was to follow him around,
Yeah.
right? But we were winning 1-0. We had Eddie Johnson scored, and then they took over, whatever. They ended up winning the game. But that's just, no.
Yeah.
But I'm the wrong guy. There's a reason why my contacts books is probably 12 people. I don't have friends.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It could be 14 by the end of this, but I'm not changing
No, it's
insurance.
not.
with
I'm
you.
not giving you my number.
That's
But
a
my
probably good
point
idea.
is like, God, man, it's Leagues Cup final. You lost.
Yeah.
No. But that's me, the player, the ex-player. Like,
Is there
I don't
any
care who
player?
you are.
Is there any
Now,
player
10
in
years
history?
from now, it's going to be the coolest thing
Yeah,
ever.
in
No one's going
history.
to give a shit about it.
Back in the day, who your favorite player growing up? Is there any player that you would have said, "All right, I'll change shirts
No.
with you"? No.
No, that's fact.
Wow.
I have Pelé's jersey from the Cosmos when my dad played against them. I have Canalia's jersey. Those are real relics.
Yeah.
I asked my dad, when did you get him? He said, the equipment manager went in the locker room and got him for me. Because my dad was one of the few Americans on the field, right? Back then, it was only 3 Americans per team. So that became – so ingrainedly, he told me, no, you don't do that on the field. You don't. Now, you could do it on the field, all that. Social media now, I get it. It's different.
Yeah.
Right?
Different time.
But I know it's sounds like a wet blanket. I know the stories from it are unbelievable. But, man, I don't care who I played. If I lost the final, if I lost any game, I hated the world for about 24 hours. It's just how I was.
Yeah, it's fair.
But, like, Alan Shearer, Ruud van Nistelrooy were 2 favorite players growing up. Ruud van Nistelrooy, I worked with him at the World Cup the entire time. I'm like, I'm still, but then I argued with him on our first show together.
Yeah.
And
Well, you're
Pollock-
still Taylor Twellman.
And Michael
Yeah.
Pollock's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what he said is wrong. I disagree with it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Right? Nowadays, people would have been like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I am an idiot,
Yeah.
but at least
I had a similar moment with my idol. We'll talk about it.
Who's your
after.
idol?
We'll talk about it after the show.
Stanley Cup Finals. It's Boston Bruins, St. Louis Blues.
Uh-huh.
The Boston fan has taught me what? No, you still got to be who you are.
Yeah,
so
right.
what do? I wear blues to Game 7. That's what you do. Whether I'm friends with the Bruins
Yeah.
players or it doesn't matter.
At the Boston Bruins Stadium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the Garden.
Yeah, you made it
Absolutely.
out?
And by the way, the Blues won.
Yeah.
But my point is, I also went to the World Series games where the Red Sox played the Cardinals, and I lost those. But I'm rooting. You got to be who you are. You got to be true. So my
Yeah.
point is, if I'm Messi standing right across from me, and in that moment, I just lost 2-1, I don't give a flying you know what.
Yeah.
I lost you. Get away from me.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I'm going to regret it and wish I had a great
Sure,
day.
sure.
And
Yeah.
So be it. But
Fair.
at least- But that's who
integrity.
I am.
Yeah,
That's
I
all
like it.
It's
Right.
not even. It's just that's who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair.
Even if like
For better or worse.
we even said before this, if Taylor has to fist fight some of the Yahoo producers, we'll be like, that's who he is.
That's who he is.
First
Just
off,
stay down. That's who he is. Play dead. That's who he is.
We have not talked about this. I'm glad you're laughing.
Yeah.
That's
Our
all.
audio guy has a very thick neck.
I
by
don't
the
want to
way.
get you in trouble.
Are we probably have to cut that out? There's a lot going to be cut out of this episode.
No, I actually think this is one of the best episodes I've ever done.
Well, Taylor Twellman.
The last time he does our show.
We are,
Legally.
Not at all.
Legally.
I'm so good.
We are wishing for another exciting 2025 MLS season. I mean, there's a lot going on, obviously, with Leagues Cup, but not also we're gonna have the Club World Cup, the Gold Cup. This is gonna be quite.
There's soccer piling on. It's insane.
The United States and just
And then the World Cup.
and then the World
You know what?
Cup.
I want to
It's
ask
like
you
here,
this.
we're in the blink of an eye.
You've been a part of soccer for so long. What do you think the World Cup bounce is going to be like with the amount of fandom that already exists? You've already talked about.
I don't know. It's hard to quantify it.
Is it hard to wrap your mind around it?
Yes, because I remember. I mean, '94 World Cup. I'm 14. Fine, but my father was vice president of Umbro North America. His sole purpose was to follow Brazil and take care of Brazil. So he did that. Went to their games. Then Major League Soccer starts in '96. My father. I'm an NASL baby, so it was always about the sport of the future.
Yeah.
But then you start to see the numbers and real numbers, and then you're like, hang on a minute, it's not the sport of the future. It's literally here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's here. It's a different sport because it's mainly through streaming and different ways to consume your sport. I don't know how to quantify it. I don't. I think where Major League Soccer is set up to really grow is all of these fans can now see the infrastructure of the league.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, it's not Giant Stadium for the Metro Stars in '96.
Right.
It is legitimately, that's where City's going to be playing in 27.
Yeah.
That's where the Red Bulls play. You go to LA, this is where the Galaxy are. This is where LAFC are. Here's their academies. And that gives you credibility to the fan. There's a lot of fans in the world that still don't know enough about MLS.
That's true. That's
And they're
very
going to be
true.
coming to this league in this country and all of a sudden see it and go, wait a minute, what? There's 30 teams?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's where 94, you're like, all right, it's going to, let's hope it grows and starts. And it did. And now we're in our 30th year through a lot of peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to look like in 27. And especially if they do follow through and look at the schedule and change it to the way the Western Europe plays their schedule. Guys, I don't know how to quantify that. And that's a genuine, legitimate answer to me because I don't think I can do it enough justice based on what happened in 94 to 96. I don't know what it's going to look like. Plus, it's the largest World Cup ever. That's the other thing that none of us have. We have no idea what's coming.
Yeah. Literally the whole world is going to be in Canada, U.S., and Mexico.
Right.
It's crazy.
And I can't wait for those group stage games.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Fiji versus Oceania.
8-1. The goal differential was plus 27. You're like,
It should be interesting, yeah. But no, there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, this feels like we're on the precipice of something different, something big, and yeah, we all hope to just kind of just enjoy this ride, man.
maybe after the World Cup, I'll get my own room like you guys did for interviews.
Maybe.
We'll put in a
Maybe.
good word for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do.
Okay,
Yeah, I think you need it.
Taylor Twellman, thank you
The
so much,
best.
brother.